Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I am Tabiso Mndzoyi and I am joined here by Tabiso. Today we are doing a Sis Dolly tag. So if you're interested in seeing us give you advice, come along, join us.
Be about it.
Be about it. Don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. And this is going to be a little special because we've got a little bit of spiritual insight from my friend who is a Sangoma. So we thank you. Thokoza gogo.
Awesome.
Unjani Chomam? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm about that.
Thank you for joining. He came all the way from Cape Town. So he's visiting me for a weekend and I'm blessed.
Oh, thank you so much. She's a great host, by the way, so it's a thing.
It's been good.
It's flip.
August in Rocker. August is the city girl. That's it. He hasn't seen the questions. I've seen some of them. There's a little bit of a mix from employment to spiritual to relationships, so we'll be all over the place. But then I'll make a disclaimer and you can also add, if it's a very specific question, he's not going to answer it. It requires a consultation. So we'll leave the details where you can hit him up and consult in a proper manner. But we're just answering general things.
It's also just to, because we can't, some questions are really do need like a face-to-face or like a conversation so that I can like get into it.
Is it absolutely necessary to have someone come in your home and bless or cleanse your home, or can I do it myself?
It's highly dependent on the situation. So there's situations whereby, if for example you come to consult with me, for example, and I tell you that there's some form of bad spirits that exist within your environment. Obviously it's dependent on what kind of bad spirit it is and what it's there for. Therefore, if I tell you that, then I'll obviously recommend ways. So there are ways whereby you just touch it there, touch it kandlela, and I tell you mix that and that. Sometimes just water and salt, and I tell you cleanse your space. Or even in Bepo, it cleanses the space because it's incense, right? But sometimes you do need a person who will come into your space and cleanse it, depending on what it is.
How do I let my guides lead me? What can I do?
This is very difficult, and I know this. Like, guys, I had the calling since, well, I knew of the calling since I was 12. So for me, it's also, I think when you want to build that relationship, for you make it a mental thing rather than a physical, spiritual thing, right? And it's something that's very difficult to achieve as well. So I'm just going to try and explain why I say that. So if, for example, you tell yourself that I want to allow my guides to come in and guide me, it's not just you telling yourself. You need to prepare yourself for it. You need to prepare your body. You need to prepare your receptors. You need to have your receptors open, like literally all the time. And if you're going to tell yourself that you want your guides to come into a space whereby you've never packed that, you've never turned on, like, put a candle on a white plate, you've never prayed, then guys, you have not laid a place for them to be accommodated for. So you just basically need to put yourself in that space and try and connect with them, like initiate that relationship in order for them to actually see that, okay, we can manipulate this relationship and guide you.
How can I get myself more noticed job-wise? I've been unemployed for 2 years now. And we don't know the person's field, so I think we'll both answer from our respective fields. Tabiso is in tech and cybersecurity. I'm within the arts. So I'll give my answer and then you'll give yours. For instance, when I moved to Joburg after studying in Cape Town, I moved here with no plan. I had no job, but it was a case of, I understand how Johannesburg works. You have to be in the environment. Like, you don't send out an application, say Eastern Cape, and I mean, this is relative, right? But I'm speaking from personal experience and seeing how unemployment works. You can't send out a CV, say Eastern Cape, and then interviewing like I know what I'm talking about. Your interview can literally be tomorrow, and that company expects you to rock up. They are looking for people who are within the range. They're not going to want someone who's going to move, someone who's going to this. So firstly, and it's a privilege to say you can just move to a city without employment because you need to get an apartment, all of those things. But that's what I had to do. I was hosting on the side, I was doing club promotions, I had to sustain my life doing things that are not within my career choice, but I had to be like, this is a big picture. I want to be an art curator, I want to work in an art gallery, and I have to position myself in such a way that I'm accessible to these places. So then I started going to exhibition openings. Like, I'll go to shows that are being open, and I'll interact and network, because with my field it's not a simple case of, oh, we have a job opening, supply your CV. It's always a case of, oh, I spoke to the director of this gallery and he noticed you there and there might be a position that's open, they'd like to hear from you. So that's how I had to navigate it. So it's all about creating opportunities even when there aren't any, because we know in South Africa unemployment is high, and I'm not going to be those people that say start your own business, do that. When it comes to jobs and when you want employment, sometimes you have to force your way into the door. You have to be there and send the cold emails. Uti, hi, I am Banban and I am a graduate and I would love to have an opportunity to meet with you. Go for those coffees. Like, you have to be that person that accepts rejection all the time and understand that there might not be an opportunity, but you create it for yourself.
And because we don't know what industry you are in or what you are skilled at, it's quite difficult for us to sort of get into it and say, okay, this is the exact advice that we want to give you. But for me, how I sort of got myself into this industry and sort of got my name recognized by people is firstly, I just want to say that when you're a person who's looking for employment, as much as we all want to have fancy titles and all of those things and say that we work, for example, in cybersecurity, you need to realize that every job that you hold literally does build up to you becoming a professional, right? And I've worked in restaurants, I did an internship in a magazine company. Like I've done different things, and I don't want to look down on those experiences. So I think it's just always a matter of putting yourself within spaces that enable you to become an employee. And it doesn't matter what title it is, even if it means working at a call center, just go into there, find a job. Don't so get on savings, because at the end of the day, beggars really cannot be choosers. And then just like while you do that, your main aim or your end goal is to get into this particular field that you have been educated for. So for me, what happened was I basically just allowed myself to sort of get into the different job markets, did different kinds of jobs, and I really never took granted those opportunities. But I knew what my end goal was. I really didn't even know what cybersecurity was when I started, but like, because of the people that I met within the industry that I was in at the time, it sort of allowed me to sort of go into that and sort of build those relationships. So I think for me, just like always have a positive attitude, make people know you, allow people to notice you and give you credit where it's due. I mean, and I'm saying credit where it's due because I mean, obviously you're probably not employed, but if you get a job at a restaurant, for example, and people don't enjoy working with you, then obviously they will not think about you if they hear of a friend who's looking for maybe a PA when they know you've got a business degree or a business admin, right? So always allow yourself to be a person who can be, loved by people,
pleasant to work with.
Basically be a pleasant side so that people can refer you to these opportunities. It's just like build positive relationships from the get-go, so that if opportunities do arise, people can think of you.
I'm a 21-year-old dating a 32-year-old man who doesn't drink nor smoke. Views? We actually spoke about this yesterday, but it don't take us Leo.
I mean, we can respect that.
We do.
We really can respect it, because maybe they used to drink.
And the substance abuse, Tina, we respect those things. Like among our friendships, when they're dealing with substance abuse issues, we respect that enough. When you're hanging out with a person, you find other activities to do. Alcohol is not the be it and end all of life. Like, there are other things.
But also, I just want to come in with that age factor. You brought that up, and I think that the fact that you brought that age factor,
she knows.
It really does. I feel like it does have an impact.
Yes.
Right? You say you're 21 and he's 32, and he doesn't drink nor smoke, and when you are probably a person who is about the life.
Turn up, city girl.
So, but I think he just needs to respect the fact that when you are in your youth and you need to live your life, and you need to groove. I just think that I just think he needs to give you the respect that you need. He needs to understand that you need to have fun, and I mean, there's absolutely, he can't block you from that.
With his age gaps, and I've been very vocal about his age gaps that I'm quite uncomfortable with, because there's always a power play, right? So when it's an older man, I know exactly what you're speaking of. Like, I've also dated older men who don't drink, who don't smoke, and you as the young person, you feel like you're doing too much. Like, you're always out with your friends, you're always drinking, or you're smoking, when it's cool. So like, where you are, enjoy yourself, drink, smoke, live your life. How do I make room for good things to enter, namely a partner? And let's make it general, like a partner, employment, buying a house, buying a car. How do I make space for those things?
Be a good person. Like, I honestly, guys, I absolutely don't believe that bad people will attract great things. You need to be genuinely a person who oozes positivity, who oozes, great energy, who oozes beautiful things in order for you to attract good things. And if you're a bad person, it's difficult for you to see that other people are good. So it's the same thing with jobs. If you're a bad person, it's difficult for you to sort of, decipher and break down, okay, is this for me or not? Because you are generally just a person who's negative or so closed off to good things that when things are really meant for you, you don't know. So just like, be a good person, allow yourself to get into a space where you pray about the things that you want, and prepare yourself, because also, like, you can't honestly expect a good partner to come into your space when you're not a good person. It's really not fair on that person if they do come along.
But I was gonna ask from a more practical perspective, like, as someone who has a career, who has property, who has a car, this is someone in the spiritual world, but he's achieved things like apebomini. What have you done to ensure that you've moved up in your job, you've acquired the things that you have? Like, how did you create that? Aside from your spiritual guides, what work did you have to do? Like,
people who know me know that I am generally a person who is a go-getter. So for example,
he's so hardworking.
Like, if I want to do something, I literally make sure that I go for it. And this is, my mom and I usually have fights over this. She usually says, Tabiso, you are so quick at making decisions. And she's saying I'm quick at making decisions because obviously she was not involved in that thought process. But now, the minute I see, for example, that I have like a mental checklist that I'm probably not aware of at most times. But for example, it can take up to 3 things for me to sort of see about, okay, this is for me, and then I'm gonna go work hard to sort of achieve that. So for example, with the jobs or even the house, I was like, okay, Tabiso, you are in this space right now. This is what you can afford, and it makes no sense for you to be a person who is a tenant. And get into the space. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. It's a big decision. You might, in 5 years' time, or even in a year's time, you might probably be but like, at the end of the day, I know that is difficult to lose as well. As much as it's difficult to achieve, but it's also very difficult to lose. So I just think that you just need to have that mentality of, if this is what I am if this is what I've been created for, and this is what I deserve, then I should absolutely work twice or even thrice, 5, like a million times as hard to get it. Just because you deserve it doesn't mean that you don't work for it.
How do I manifest? Are there certain things that one does to help manifest better?
In manifestation, it's just a matter of next year Tabiso wants to achieve this, and in order for Tabiso to achieve this, there's a lot of cancellation that has to take place, and you obviously know what you're manifesting for, so obviously you know what you need to get rid of, and then you prepare yourself for that. Just get into a space where you can be ready to achieve it. So I think you know how to deal with it, because just because you have achieved something, it doesn't mean that you also have to work on maintaining it.
So people tend to think manifestation is just uttering something out there. It's not. 80% of it is you working towards it. Now I understand that I wrote this petition and I said to the universe or to God or to my spirit guides that what does it take from me to buy that home? What do I have to do? What do I have to earn? If I want to drive a particular car, how much do I have to have in the bank? Like, you have to be very practical.
What am I sacrificing?
About your manifestation.
Petrol.
the work that is done after and before making that utterance of this is what I want. Now it's your turn. You've told your ancestors what you want. Now you have to work towards it, because they'll provide that, but you are the one who's living on earth.
Just always keep them positive and always keep them realistic.
Hey TNT, from TNT. What does cleansing entail? How does one get cleansed by a Sangoma?
Depends on what the situation is. Just say you need a cleansing because we need to help you connect more with your ancestors.
Yeah.
What I would then do is I would make sure I give you umuthi wokuthi ufuthe noma uqome in Zulu, and that basically means to steam. So that is an African sauna basically. And what that basically does is that it releases all of those oils in your body that make you, or rather close you off from certain things. Because guys, remember, as much as we're spiritual, we also live in physical bodies. So the physical body really needs to be prepared in order for the spiritual to be tapped into. So that is why we work on the body. So we basically help the body get that shock of fighting off things.
Tabiso, you're so serious. God, does it get that shock?
It's a shock, and does. It's basically the cleansing basically gives your body that shock to sort of get rid of negative energies and all of those things. It clears your mind. The cleansing does it could literally be you sitting in front of a paper and just like allowing yourself to be in that space. You're cleansing your brain, you're cleansing your spirit, and then you're basically opening yourself up so that you can receive, because sometimes you need to offload in order to unload. I definitely would say that it needs a Sangoma or a person who knows a meeting to be able to cleanse you. But the reason for that is because...
Can I ask something? This was a topic on Twitter and I didn't really engage, but basically people were discussing how if you've had a pregnancy termination or like an abortion,
you do need
to cleanse. Can you shed light on that?
So as black people, remember when there's a death in a family of any sort, that's a spirit leaving the world. And during that process, we go through mourning, and we mourn, guys. And when we mourn, like, our ancestors don't disturb us. They allow us to be in that emotional state. And when you don't get a cleansing, for them, they still think that you are there. Right? So, for example, Mina, if somebody were to die in my family, I'm a Sangoma, and I am a practicing Sangoma. I wear beads, I do all of those things. I go to traditional dances and all of those things. However, if there's been a death in my family or anything of that sort, I am not allowed to wear beads. I am not allowed to touch anything Ndombayam. I'm absolutely not allowed to practice at all, because it's like I'm not prepared for that. I feel like if people have the choice to decide whether they want a baby or not. However, make sure that you do cleanse. So as much as you have made that decision, also follow up with that responsibility of cleansing, because a lot of things can go wrong because you haven't cleansed.
I'm a 19-year-old film student wanting to register my production company. Is it too soon? No, it's not. It's never too soon.
Do it. Honestly, Usazimba, like, please go check out her channel. In
fact, if you ask this question, you should actually be looking at Sazi's work.
Oh my gosh, like,
she is
absolutely. I think she went into production without even getting the experience, and she really doesn't have like 10 years or 20 years worth of experience, but she's an independent production manager or whatever, right?
Yes.
It's if you are passionate about something and you feel like the mere fact that you're asking this question, in fact, shows that you are ready. You need to do it. Just do it.
And also formalize your business at like where you can. Like, for instance, when and this is referring now because you're speaking from a creative and arts perspective, when I moved to Joburg, the first thing I had done was register my curations company. Like, I registered it, and a lot of the time when you do work as an independent curator, you are an independent entity. This would also speak to you as a producer. So there will be government opportunities, there will be government funding, like COVID, for instance, like I received government funding. I have been someone who's practicing within the creative space as an individual, as a independent, but you need a company and you need to formalize your business. You need to justify the work that you do, because now you're also working towards something at the end of the day. You also want to acquire these worldly possessions. You also want a house, you also want a car. So when you are going to buy those things, maybe you don't want to be an employee. You need to justify and say, I've been working, I've been getting paid. So register it now, immediately. The earlier the better. I've begun the journey of Sangoma, but I'm having difficulties in that I feel very blocked. So I'm getting my usual dreams, but the one dream that I need to have is simply not coming, and it's blocking everything for me. Do you know perhaps what I can do? Kudala ndiphahla, but that does not seem to be working.
When she read that message, like my heart just like sank. It went into like a, you know, more feel like your heart goes into like an oil barrel. Can I just say that Oaties, guys, is absolutely not as pretty as it looks. You guys see the beads, you guys see the beautiful clothing that comes with it. However, the work that goes into it, it really isn't as, you know, beautiful as it seems. There's certain things that you need to allow your ancestors to do for you, and there's certain things that Ukobela Wako can do for you. And remember, spirituality is not something that is coached or can be coached, etc., because it's something that only you can understand. When are you feeling blocked right now? And I want to tell you this because we've all been through this. Now, there was a time where I couldn't even, if a person came in and wanted to get a consultation, I could not see things because I was blocked. Like, you are blocked because there's a lot of emotions that you need to let go, and I feel like I'm connecting with you. So there's a lot of emotions that you need to let go, a lot of them, and I think that you need to sort of take a break. If you are still in the process of trust, and I know it's difficult to take a break from such, but take a break, take a step back and sort of reflect. It's always important to reflect. Like, take a step back, reflect, understand why you accepted the calling, right? And once you realize that, you'll probably get to know that it's probably not even a blockage per se. It's probably not even on par with your ancestors because we are part of Lomdo. It probably is on your part. That's it. So I think it's just a matter of going back, you know, and try and get that connection again. Don't depend too much on Umdopete or Kokotongo, because honestly, there's only so much that person can do for you.
My questions are related to dreams. What are the generic things, symbols, elements, events that one should pay attention to in dreams? Does the way we feel in dreams contribute to the meaning of dreams?
Okay, always look at the place. 3 things: place, who is there, and how you feel. Those 3 things can absolutely give you an answer to a dream. Honestly. So I'll give you an example. When I was 13, I had a dream about my brother committing suicide. You see, committing suicide, okay, so my brother was there, it was at my house, and it was a repetitive dream, right? And it was, obviously I was devastated by it, because it was like you wake up and you're like, you know, so, and then it happened a week later. But I mean, obviously I'm speaking from a gifted perspective.
Yeah.
So always note those 3 things: who is involved in that dream, or what is. It's either who or what. So if it's a snake, then, you know, a person probably will not sure because that's in the same York. But it's who or what, where you are, and how you feel.
Did it really happen? You had a dream about your brother committing suicide.
A week later, he committed. He didn't die. He didn't die. He's still very much alive. We went to consult with him, and they were told him that he will not die if he tries to commit suicide. He will just feel pain. He's still alive, but he was going through mental health issues, and he had tried to commit suicide.
Does it matter the language you try to speak to your ancestors in?
No, it really doesn't. Guys, I grew up as a child who went to model C schools all my life. And like when I got the calling, I was like, what is happening? What am I gonna do? How am I gonna phahla? The spirits don't really have a certain language, and because we have different types of ancestors, like I come from a lineage of different people. Like, I don't even break it down for you.
Yeah.
Whatever I need to say at that present time, if I can't say it in Xhosa or Zulu, I'll say it in English. Or Tswana, or whatever language I feel at that very present time, because I have something that it's just about the energy that I put into that matters.
Can someone believe in both ancestors and God? Because I subscribe to both.
I really do believe so. Remember, spirituality, guys, is not based on religion. Spirituality is based on the relationship that you have with the higher powers. And remember, ancestors are people who were created by God. Even in traditional medicine that we use come from trees, which is created by God. So you definitely can have that relationship with God and also maintain a spiritual ancestral relationship.
Ready for umendo ndithini andinawo nomenzi ke. Ndasenathi siready kule ndawo sikuyo.
Like Jenny mentioned by into zami zirayithi kushota umuntu enzothi baby I'm home. Honey, I'm home.
That's nice advice for Londo. Zonke sifuna umendo. Tabiso, what does dreaming of poop mean?
It really depends. But also, like, that's why I'm like, it also depends about poop in what form. If it could be poop because it could be poop because it's so you need to tell me about where, like,
consult.
Basically give me more information. Poop could be anywhere.
I did my mbeleko 2 years ago, and to cut a long story short, I can feel my ancestors working in my favor more than ever before. Singabantu benkonzo ekhaya, but very open-minded. I just wanted to know, in my daily routine of praying to God and giving gratitude, how do I correctly include my underground?
When I pray to God, so whenever I do any form of ndiphahla on your prayer, I always do it in Kudala where I consult, right? And there's a thing, it almost automatically happens. I always at first. I always all of them, and then I would always break out in prayer at the end. I'm like, God, so just like
integrate.
Try and integrate it.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. That was our sis Dolly tag with Tabiso. I hope that he answered all of your questions. If not most, there's no way that we could have answered all of them. For being.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So thank you guys. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Tabiso is also a YouTuber, so you'll get more of this content on his YouTube. I'll link his YouTube down below as well. Please subscribe to him, follow him on Instagram.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're about to turn up. Clink.